We're going to start by editing our background image so that it's not quite as bold. The purpose of a background image is to provide some colour and a bit of interest. It shouldn't be a main focal point. So what we're going to do is we're going to blur this out a little bit so that we've still got the colour and we can still see a little bit of what it is, but it's not in your face. So we're going to select our pointer tool, which is your black arrow up here, and click on our picture. You know you've got it selected because you get this little blue box around it, which is called a bounding box. With this selected, go down to your properties bar and find filters and click the plus. Go to blur, and you'll notice here that there are lots of different blurs that you can choose from. So you can have a look and see which one works for you. Gaussian blur does a straightforward blur, and you can slide this up and you can see behind it the effect that that has. So that just does a straightforward blur, and the more you put it up, the more it's going to blur it out. It can take a bit of time. You'll notice as well that you get this little edge, and what that does is it actually blurs away from the edge, so you end up with some transparency. So what you might need to do is make your picture a bit larger so that it doesn't cover this edge once you've finished. Another option you can use is going to be motion blur, and motion blur, depending on the angle you put it on, blurs it from left to right, top to bottom, and so on. So if you drag this up, you can see you start to get that sort of blur going down in this case. And again, you can see there, look, gives you that kind of effect. And then the only other ones that you'll want to use really are radial blur, which blurs it around the middle point. And gives you this effect. And remember with this, once you've got this blur, you don't worry too much about these edges because you can always make it bigger so that it actually goes over the edges so you don't get this. And then your final one is going to be zoom blur. And zoom blur zooms in towards the centre so it sort of blurs out in a star shape. And it gives you that kind of effect. So once you've got one, if you get this little bit around the edge, what you need to do is you need to just zoom out a little bit, so hold control and press minus. You might find it can take a while. The best thing to do is just leave it. If you keep clicking, you're going to crash it. Select your picture, and then choose this tool here, which is your scale tool. And all you're going to do is you're going to drag that out, because you don't want the edges to be semi-transparent like this. You can see that it is taking quite a bit of time, and the reason that it's doing that is because every time I change something like the shape or the position, it's got to reapply that filter. So what we need to do once we've done that is we need to confirm that filter, if you like, by flattening our selection, which makes it into an image again. Once you've done that, you can't take that filter back off again. So make sure you've got it as you want it, and then you can right click it. Sorry, you need to press enter first because I've got the selection, and you can right click it, and you can just go ahead and you can choose flatten selection. Now that makes it into one image. Let's get rid of this edge bit, get your crop tool, and then just drag across the whole thing and press enter.